rising sun shines herself for everyone, seldom blinks and carries on. How I miss her when she's gone, way above, so very high. Never question, don't ask why. Follow her without a doubt. Feel her burn without a cloud. And I tried for oh so long. I even wrote another song. I thought she'd understand me then. Never questioned if, just when. And the world continues round. We all take note and hear the sound. The distant cries are closer now. Will she hear this time somehow? And her lover crosses by, way above, up in the sky. The moon keeps blinking in his past. Sometimes he sleeps, we sleep in mass. She comes awake and crosses by, and follows him into the sky. And in the light, he blinds her there. The only time we look and stare. The sun once seeing everything, now just a shell, a diamond ring. And if that sun was yours he gave, would you follow to the grave? Welcome back to the Jeep Journals, everybody. Today I am showcasing a Washburn. It is a guitar that I've shown you before. This is the Nuno Bettencourt EA20SNB-0. This Washburn is pretty unique in that it matches very well to one of my other Washburn guitars. The other Washburn guitar is a Washburn Woodstock, and that's a 1980s model guitar. This guitar is newer. It's got the HyVibe setup in it, which I featured in another video earlier, I believe last year, if not the beginning of this year. And in that video, I featured the electronics of this guitar, which are fairly high tech, and those electronics include a digital tuner and a number of other effects, but the electronics are rechargeable by a micro USB port, which, as I talked about in that video, I believe to be the only flaw, if you could call it a flaw, in this guitar, in that the power system is basically comprised of whatever's inside this guitar built in. And the reason I call that a potential flaw is because the charge of that item is dependent on constantly being plugged in to a micro USB charger to power these electronics. Even when the electronics are off, there's a power drain. And for that reason, I wanted to not only showcase this guitar on its own, separate from the HyVibe components, because this guitar does not include the HyVibe electronics by default, I still wanted to talk about an aspect of this guitar that is of potential concern for whoever might want to consider installing this system into any guitar. Now, as you heard, this guitar, with or without that specific array of electronics, is still an amazing guitar. This guitar has features such as the Mourning Widow inlay at the 12th fret, and also by the guitar port itself. This guitar sounds beautiful on its own without any kind of assistance, and I will showcase all of my videos in the future in a more put together manner. As you heard in this video, I made an error in the song right towards the end of it, and the funny thing is, I know that while I was recording this song, even 2 years ago, I would continuously make an error somewhere in the song. In order to perfect it, I do need to have some time to rehearse the song, to record it, and probably maybe I just need to record it in its final format in a way that can be presented and brought to you on something like some sound sharing platform. And the song isn't really the point of this video here. The point of this video is to bring you something that helps you to enjoy whatever time you're spending on this platform, so that you can spend some time maybe listening to new music, maybe seeing different guitars, maybe inspiring yourself to play music, and maybe helping to inspire me to play better music as well. In the meantime, I hope that you've enjoyed watching this segment where you've got the chance, where you had the chance to see this guitar up close. I want to explain real briefly that at some point you're going to see on the bridge there is something that doesn't look quite normal if you look close enough. During this past cold season here in Texas where I'm at, something happened and it was basically a dead string. And so what I did was loosen the string and fold up a piece of paper to put under the string on the bridge area, which gave the string a little bit more height on the high E string, which now allows me to play the high notes without having any buzzing or dead spots. So if you see that piece of paper, that's what that's all about until I can resolve this professionally, which probably is going to include removing all of the strings in order to reseat the bridge. I may or may not do that on my own. I have a great friend who works at a local guitar shop, Frets and Necks, and they are probably going to be the person who works on this if I do take this guitar to get fixed at some point. And by fixed, what I'm talking about is relative, because it's already been fixed with a piece of paper for now, although obviously that probably is not the preferred permanent solution for this guitar. But at the same time, I've got plenty of guitars, as you've seen in this series, and each of them brings its own component to the music making process. For this guitar, I wanted to show you a song that had none of the electronic flair involved in showcasing this beautiful instrument. And that song that I just played for you, I called it Eclipse, because if you listen close enough, it talks about the sun going around and around, seldom blinking, and then at some point in time, it crosses across the sky, meets its lover, the sun meets her lover, and her lover blinds her in the sky. What that means is, and it even says in one line, the sun once seeing everything, now just a shell, a diamond ring. If you know anything about astronomy, and if you've ever heard of a total solar eclipse, the lyrics for this song have a lot to do with that circumstance. And they talk specifically about the sun and the moon traveling around the world, occasionally meeting up. And behind that is another story that talks about an actual relationship with the sun and her lover, and maybe even their son, you know, and that's basically the description of the artwork, which I've been told in the past, don't share the meaning behind your art, let people interpret it in their own way. But I wanted to give you the dynamic allure of the lyrics that I paired to that song called Eclipse. which I started to compose right around the time of the great American solar eclipse in 2017, when we actually got to witness totality here across the United States. Now, there is another total eclipse coming up in a few years. I'll present a segment on that in the future, but for right now, I just wanted to give you a little bit of insight for this show and tell segment, where I'm showing you one of my most beautiful Washburn guitars, of which I have a few. And I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. I hope you have a great day. Until next time, peace, love, and all that old school stuff.